Well, that's great because you're already experienced, so you can be the one producing the excellent, cinema quality videos, and I'm going to be remaining in the kindergarten video with the, like that 5-Minute Friday where I had that squirrel jumping in when I mentioned squirrels eating trailer wiring. I mean, that was a big editing feat for me.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, people really liked it, so keep doing it.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Angie Scott and Barb Carey.
Well, welcome to our year in review episode. Angie, I just want to say it's just been an honor and a pleasure this year working with you on the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, and thank you for being such a great partner.
Likewise, it's been an amazing, crazy year. As I was looking back, kind of trying to prep for this episode, I was kind of blown away, honestly.
Yeah, no wonder when people see us, they say, man, you get around. You must be tired. You're so busy. I'm sure you get that same stuff that I do.
I do, yeah, and it's... people, see posts on Facebook and stuff, and they're like, oh, you're a world traveler. You're just traveling all the time. And I guess that's kind of true. Looking back over the year, I'm like, holy cow, I did do a lot of traveling.
Well, and I think, I'm sure you feel the same way I do, is like, telling these stories of these amazing women is such an honor and a privilege. And I think such an important thing, and that's what we do. We're not off, gallivanting on our own, having our own fun. We're really there to be the ones telling the story of these other amazing women that are doing incredible things.
Right. Yeah. These women that we've gotten to talk to over the past year are so amazing. And, it's a lot of work doing what we do and putting this podcast together and all the things that go on the back end of it. But it's like you said, an honor and a privilege to be able to have the opportunity to do it and give them a platform on podcasts to share their stories with everyone and hopefully inspire other women out there. That's kind of the whole point of the show and what we're doing. So, we started off the year going all the way back to January. We kicked off with our Women on Ice series that led up to the Ice Angler Project event last year, which was really cool. I got to go up and we ice fished on Lake Superior out of Bayfield, Wisconsin. That was crazy cool experience.
Yeah, and we're planning now for this year's event, and it's hard to believe that a year has gone by already. I mean, time goes so fast. I think the older you get, the faster it goes. But having these podcasts to look back on really helps. Kind of recreate some of these memories and adventures that we've been on, and that was just an awesome experience, and we're already gearing up for this year's event, which we're actually going to be sleeping on the ice for multiple days, so that's going to be a whole new experience. The public event that we're having that day is just selling out like crazy, so if anyone listening to this wants more information on the next year's, the 2020 Women on Ice event, which is going to be held February 1st, I'm sure there'll be links in the show notes, and Women on Ice on Facebook. You can follow along with that or go back and listen to that last year's episode. And there was a video too. I think, Angie, you did a really good job with that video you did. That was pretty exciting. I remember it was kind of one of your first big videos that you did, and it just turned out amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was really cool. I was able to get permission from Toby Mac's management to use a song that he had come out called Elements. And when I heard that song for the first time, I'm like, oh man, that would be so cool to put something together for the Women on Ice or Ice Angler Project. And it all kind of worked out. They gave us permission, and Yeah, I think it was really fun putting that together, and it's still up on YouTube. So till they make us take it down, we've got it up there. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes in case anybody missed it. Yeah, so after that, we followed up with a couple really touching, I thought, episodes. One was Rachel Lynn Vickers, who fought breast cancer and has had a lot of health issues, but still really makes an effort to get out there and fish and follow her passion. And then you did a really cool interview with a couple of ladies from Wham when they stopped by your house, and I remember that was kind of got a little emotional too.
Yeah, Kristen Merwin, the president of the Women Anglers of Minnesota, and Erin, the vice president, I believe. And it's just one of those things where you start talking to people and all of a sudden all this emotion comes out, and it was really a good episode.
Yeah.
I know that, we were actually in my house, and I think deer kept interrupting us because big bucks kept walking by the window, and we were all watching that. But that one is really up there in my memories of really good shows from last year.
Yep.
Then, you did that one with Angelica Marciano from Wicked Tuna, and then we end up over on the Wicked Tuna boat when we were out at Cape Cod. What are the chances of that? That was just amazing.
That was so cool how that worked out. And yeah, I would have never thought when we did that episode with her way back then that we'd actually be there in person talking to her and her brother on the Falcon. That was really cool. We try to find big names, people who are on bigger shows or have bigger platforms so that we can get exposed and have more people, new listeners, find the show. And so to have somebody that's on the National Geographic channel on our show was a real treat.
We had a couple of big names last year. I know Terry Clark, the country singer, she was on. That was a great show.
Yeah, and that was almost a disaster. I talked about it on the show, but for whatever reason, my recorder was not recording, and we were backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. She had just come off stage. We only had a few minutes to get the show done because she had to go interview somebody else, I think Vince Gill, for her own radio show. And afterwards, when I got home, I realized I don't know what happened, but I must not have hit the record button. And thank goodness my wife Dana was there. And even though I told her not to video because we didn't ask permission to video, she did anyways. And thank goodness she did, because otherwise we would have totally lost that. And it was a really cool conversation with her.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that one.
Yeah, we talked about how you wished you could have been there. But maybe we'll get a chance to have her back on again.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have a chance to go fishing with her. I'd prefer that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So I think one of the biggest highlights of the year was the Gens Girls episode that you did. That was such a special show, and to get to share their story, because I don't think a lot of people know that side of the story of Dave Gens.
Yeah, and it was actually, that show did win an award at the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers Conference. And I think that, that story just hit home with so many people because they all heard the other side of the story, but they had never heard the Gens Girls side of the story. So it was really an honor to be able to tell that story. And I know Ricky Pardon helped out with that and videotaped it. So I know that the Gens girl's mom, Patsy Gens, she's not in the best health. So it's nice to have that video to go along with that episode. Mm-hmm. And those gals talk about that all the time. In fact, I just found out that the Gens girls are going to be a special guest this year at the Women Ice Angler Project. So it's going to be fun to fish with them. And boy, what great anglers they are.
That's awesome. I love how through this show we've been making kind of these personal connections with people, and then it kind of comes back later down the line. Like, I got to go to the Bassmaster Classic this year, and I applied for a media credential, and they gave it to me. And as part of that, you can sign up to do ride-alongs or be a marshal for some of the anglers during the actual tournament. And just luck of the draw, I got G-Man, Gerald Swindle, who's my favorite pro bass angler, so it was really cool. It was practice day, but I got to ride along with him, and I actually think that was probably better than riding along during the actual tournament because it was a little more laid back, and we were able to just connect, and we talked about music pretty much the whole day, which was really fun because I'm in Nashville and he's just a big music fan. And then, talk about making a personal connection. Just a few weeks ago, he was in Nashville for his 50th birthday, and his wife invited us out to go downtown and help him celebrate. So that was really cool. I felt pretty special to be part of that group.
Yeah, that's cool. You must have been fun. You must have left an impression.
Well, I guess so. But yeah, I'm trying to get him to come out, hang out on the houseboat, and we'll listen to music and maybe go out on the pontoon or something this summer. That would be really, really fun. But speaking of cool, how about the Wisconsin governor's fishing opener that you got to be a part of and make some history?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was the first time that the governor ever fished with a female captain. He caught a fish, Governor Tony Evers, and from Wisconsin, and that was kind of stressful, I will admit, because you get him in the boat for about, by the time you go through all the security and everything, you got about less than a half an hour to get out on the water and catch a fish. So we had done some pre-fishing ahead of time, but the clock was ticking, and we had all this paparazzi following us and security boats, and it was like, dang, so I was just big sigh of relief, when he finally caught a perch and, took the pressure off, because that's the goal. The first thing people ask is, well, did the governor catch a fish?
Right.
So that was really an honor. We hope to go back this year too.
Oh, cool. That would be awesome. I can't imagine being in that situation with that much pressure. And you had your new Crestliner too. It was pretty new at that point.
Yeah, I had just gotten it. It was a body of water I'd never fished before. I think the day before, John and Brenda Meyer, and we've had Brenda on the show. Actually, that was another award-winning show, the show we did with Brenda for her being Adventuress of the Year. And so they pre-fished with me. That was kind of helpful, but that was exciting, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, speaking of awards, right around that time is when the Tennessee Outdoor Writers Association had their conference, and we actually took home 2 awards from that. One was for the Rip and Hoppers Adventure episode that we did in, I guess that was 2018. And then the very first Fish Camp Radio live episode won 3rd place. And what was kind of cool about that is they don't have a separate podcast category, so they had to lump it in with radio. And so out of all the radio and other podcasts, we were able to take home 1st and 3rd place. Which is pretty special. That
is pretty special, and considering we did swept the first place categories at a glow, it's really a testament to the quality of our show. And I am so proud of the show we produce. And a lot of the credit goes to you, Angie, because you're the ones behind the scenes with all the production and editing and all that stuff. I'm just the yapping behind the mic, and you have the hard work. But I think that our show is one of the best podcasts out there, and the awards that have come in just kind of verify that.
Yeah, well, I think we make a really good team. We both have our strengths and weaknesses, and when we come together, I think it somehow it works. Apparently, we're winning awards.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what our focus has been, is the quality of the show. You don't want a bad show. You want a good show. What our weakness has been is bringing in revenue, and I don't think people realize that. I think that they just see you, going to Florida and going here and going there. They don't realize that you're paying for all that yourself and all the production costs, and it costs quite a bit of money to produce a quality podcast. I mean, every month there's bills that go out just to have it hosted where it's hosted, and lots of other things involved that people do not have any idea about.
Traveling and trying to capture these stories, and we love to do episodes, interviews with people in person whenever we can. And even I'll take my personal trips that I've had, and I'm always trying to find a way to get a couple podcast episodes while I'm on my vacation or whatever, like I did when I went out to San Diego this past May. I got to meet up with Kevin Nakata from Hobie Kayaks, and they're based out of Oceanside, so I took advantage of being in that location and going out and doing some fishing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's thousands of dollars by the time you look back over the year at all the expenses. And we're really, really good at promoting other women and sharing their stories, but I don't think we're as good at promoting ourselves and trying to monetize the show. So one of the things that we've recently just added, a lot of other podcasts do this, is this platform called Patreon. And we set it up just a couple weeks ago. Haven't even really launched it yet. I mentioned it in a recent episode that we have it. We got our first supporter, which is awesome, Brenda Meyer. So big shout out to her for stepping up and helping to support the show. But we definitely need more supporters. There's different levels, anything from as little as $1 a month, which we call the tip jar, or there's a $10 a month, a $25 a month, and then there's a couple bigger ones. But, any little bit helps offset the monthly expenses of the podcast. And, I mean, I took a pretty big leap this year, quit my full-time job in the music business, and I'm just trying to put in the time and the effort that it takes to really take something like this up to the next level. And I'm not going to be able to do it forever. Obviously, you have to be able to pay your bills. So hopefully we can start getting some support from our amazing listeners who are enjoying the show every week. And maybe some big sponsors. I don't know. We're working on some stuff, but you just never know. We just got to keep digging away.
Yeah, and the people that are listening to this, if you have ideas for us, I mean, this is both, where Angie and I struggle. We're a good team in so many things, but, it's like finding that right person to make the right pitch to, because I think the work that we do is important and no one else is doing it, and we're doing it exceptionally well. And I think it has value. And it has, a lot of these companies, I think, that really, say they have a lot of, that it's important to them to, be part of this women's movement and the women's voices. We just got to find the right matchup, and any suggestions that any of our listeners have that can point us in a direction that we could pursue, we'd welcome it.
Yeah, definitely. So, back to our year-end review, one of the coolest, probably highlights of my year was getting to go down to Orlando for iCast. And that we actually did get some support from the Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation, because we were able to take part in their Wavemaker event and did a bunch of podcast episodes with women that we met at that event, which was really cool. Barb, what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, that was the first time I was ever there, and it was definitely overwhelming. It was like, oh my gosh, I mean, it's just unbelievable. There's so many new products, there's so many people, there's so many stories, and it was fascinating, and I'm looking forward to going back this year, because now I know more what to expect, and I think we can have a better plan in place on how to really get some great coverage. But it was just an outstanding experience, and I met some great contacts at that, and those contacts actually scored me an invitation to be a judge at the IBEX Awards, which is kind of boating innovations, like boat building companies, and they make innovative products to improve the boats and the boating experience. So I actually got to fly down to Tampa to be a judge for that, based on a contact that I made at ICAST. So that was another incredible experience that, if somebody would have told me a couple of years ago I'd have been doing that, I'd have never believed them. But that was fascinating. Yeah,
that was really cool. One of the companies that won an award, I remember, was Lily Pad Marine, and they come up with some sort of ladder that you can move around. I think you can attach it to the front or the back, boarding ladder on a pontoon, I believe is what it was. I don't know if you remember specifically what they won for.
Yeah, I do. I do remember. And I mean, it's kind of their ladder systems can be used on not only on docks but on a variety of boats. And there's nothing worse than struggling to get back in a boat. I mean, and they're you can tell that the people that own that company play in the water because the products they produce are just so functional and so fun and needed. I mean, that's a good crew there.
Oh yeah, they're great. I've gotten to meet Corey, and I've communicated with his wife online, but they make the lily pad diving board, which I think was the first big product that they came out with. And I had the chance to really enjoy that this season on my Quest pontoon. And that was the big hit of the lake. Let me tell you, that diving board, anytime somebody saw that, their mind was blown. And we had so much fun with that this year. So that was really cool. Right after I got that boat, I got to be on the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. They have a TV show / radio show called Wildcast. And we actually filmed it on the Quest pontoon, and that was super fun. I got to hear myself on the big classic radio station in Nashville that is known for the Grand Ole Opry on WSM, because that show's on there. So, there's a lot of cool things that are happening that we're getting to experience through this podcast.
Definitely. It's really unbelievable when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's so fun, to be able to go back, like you said, and look at all these episodes we've done and kind of piece together our year, because otherwise it's just a big blur. But we got to go up to La Crosse for the Association of Great Lake Outdoor Writers Conference, but then you had a great idea about the border battle had to be rescheduled, and so we were able to kind of put that all together in one really fun week. So we did the border battle, we got to run the Angler Quest boat while we were at the conference and do some nighttime catfishing. That was super fun. Yeah,
that was a burning the candle at both ends week, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then winning those awards that we talked about before. We swept all three podcast categories for first place, and that was really cool.
Yeah, then Al Linder we had him on the show, and he's a big supporter. And when it's like, when someone mentions Al's names, everyone kind of pays attention. So when he's calling our show good and proud of the work that we're doing, that means something.
Yeah, and he's been awesome. You got to speak at the Fishing Careers Workshop last year, and we talked to him again about the Fishing Careers Workshop that they had this year, which we unfortunately weren't able to attend. I think I was off on the crazy redfish roadie road trip when that happened, but he's been really good, kind of a mentor in a way, especially with my career, making that decision to do this full time. He was really supportive and said that you got to be there for these opportunities to happen. And that's been so true, because so much of this stuff that we've gotten to do this past year, I wouldn't have been able to take part of if I was, working a full-time job. And, one of those things was being able to travel up to fish camp this year. I was so jealous last year listening to that episode that you did with all the amazing women there. And it was so cool to actually get to be there this time around. And we did another episode, and I think it was just as good, if not better, than the one the year before.
Yeah, that's always fun. And that, the energy is so high and so positive there. And it's fun to watch, after that event ends and everybody goes home, and the energy that's sustained on the social media pages associated with that event and Wisconsin Women Fish. And even once the podcast came out, it kind of brought everybody back to that experience. And, it's just kind of so exciting, and to see these women come from all sorts of backgrounds, and they had a complete blast. And, we had a couple near-death experiences, and somebody fell out of their kayak in the cold water. There were so many little stories within that story that were awesome to be able to tell, and pretty inspiring.
Yeah, well, speaking of near-death experiences, I didn't really have any near-death experiences, but could have been on my Redfish Roadie road trip that I got to actually go on this year. Again, like Al Linner said, you got to be available for these opportunities. I wouldn't have been able to do this if I was still working a full-time job, because there's no way I'd have vacation to go, because this was like a 10-day road trip down to Florida with Jen Ripple from Dunn Magazine and Heather Hodson from United Women on the Fly. But we traveled all around Florida. I caught my first fish ever on the fly, which was really fun. And I got stranded on Jewel Key. We did an episode about that. And we came across a boat where the guy had gotten thrown out of his boat somehow and clearly didn't have a kill switch attached, so it was kind of going crazy. And I got all that on Facebook Live, and then it ended up getting picked up by this national TV show called Right This Minute. I had a whole bunch of people reach out to me and say, "Oh, I watch that show all the time." So I'd never heard of it because it comes on in the middle of the night, apparently. But I guess I have a lot of friends who are night owls. And so that was cool. We got a little bit of exposure on Right This Minute. So luckily no one died. Everyone was okay. And some good safety lessons learned, I think, throughout that trip.
Yeah, always an adventure, that's for sure.
Yep. But, Florida, I really, really connected with Florida. I love going down there, and I had an opportunity to go back down there kind of not too long after that trip. And now I'm working on getting my master captain's license because I kind of have a dream of doing charters down there in the wintertime. They have all these manatee tours on pontoons, and they take bigger groups, so you need to have more than a 6-pack license. So that's one of my goals, I guess, looking forward to next year. And 2020 is going to be pretty exciting. What do you think, Barb?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting if you're going to do that. Now, I'm happy because then I will have a contact in Florida, because I know that there's been many times when you're down there saltwater fishing that I'm up here in northern Wisconsin all jealous and everything. And that's one thing I want to do more of too, is, actually get down there and start catching some fish. I mean, you're showing me up on the saltwater side. I got to get down there and catch a couple.
Yep. Well, we've got, while I was down there this last time, I was able to interview 3 really amazing women that we haven't put out these interviews yet. It's kind of fun being in a situation where we've got a bunch of interviews in the can that we haven't put out yet, as opposed to how it was before, where we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants, recording them right before they were supposed to come out. But I can't wait to share those stories. And fishing the flats down there, it's a whole nother experience, and there's so many other things that you gotta take into consideration, especially when you're running a boat, because it's so shallow, and there's all these oyster beds, and you gotta know where they are. And to have women captains down there doing this is just really super impressive. So I can't wait to share their stories with everyone. And kind of toward the end of the year here, we really started ramping things up. We started a second weekly episode series called 5 Minute Friday. Barb, you've been cranking out some really cool content. It's an opportunity for us to kind of get people fired up for the weekend and share like some tips and stuff that, we don't really get a chance to do in our longer format interview Tuesday episodes.
Yeah, speaking of flying by the seat of our pants, that's something that's, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get this other video ready, and then I send it to you, and then you put the intro on it, and I wish we had a little bit more backlog on that, because every week I'm like scrambling for a topic and trying to get it done. But I tell you, it is so well received. People are saying they love the 5 Minute Friday. So I think we're onto something here, and we're hoping that that's really big for us next year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully we can get ahead on that a little bit, and, maybe if we do have to miss one here or there, because we do have some crazy travel stuff coming up, that's going to be hard to keep up with everything, but we're going to do our best, and hopefully if we do have to miss one, everybody will forgive us, but we're going to try to make that as much a regular thing as we possibly can. And yeah, people are really enjoying that little kind of the shorter format. And we've been doing all those videos so far, so I think people really enjoy that too. We just did a survey, and that's one of the comments we got back is people want to see more video. So that's a really good opportunity for us to do that.
Yeah, I enjoy it. That and the newsletters go really well. And we just kind of lucked out with some good giveaways. Each week the newsletter comes out. What is it this week? A pair of Costa sunglasses?
Yeah, that's been huge, and that's something we've talked about on the show. I'm glad you brought that up. You know, going into 2020, you've talked about it. We talked about it at Fish Camp. We handed out reusable water bottles with our logo on it, and going into 2020, we want to really kick single-use plastics off our boats and really out of our lives, like try not to use them at all because of the negative impact that they've been having on our oceans and our lakes and just in general.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, this is one way that we can be a leader in this, and any opportunity that arises that you can be a leader and a good role model to affect change that is really important and really needed, we'll jump at the opportunity and just, you know, making a different choice when you're at the store about what you're purchasing for your day's outing, you know, and planning ahead a little bit and not grabbing that case of plastic water bottles that are all going to get thrown out. And I mean, the amount of damage that single-use plastics is doing is really critical, and people are becoming far more aware of it, and we're going to do our part to spread the word.
Yeah, and so that was part of, you know, Costa's really been leading the charge in that campaign, and so they were able to donate a voucher to get a pair of sunglasses as a giveaway as we try to inspire and motivate people to pledge to join us in giving up single-use plastics in 2020. So we'll try to do a contest every week. I don't know if we'll be able to do a giveaway every single week, but we've got a lot of great stuff to give away. So hopefully everybody is signed up for the Insider Weekly newsletter. We'll put a link in the show notes if you're not signed up yet. Definitely get on that. We're featuring a woman of the week. We've got a pro tip of the week, recipes, and other bonus content. So I think it's really given a lot of value. So now we've got something going on Tuesdays with our regular episodes, on Fridays with the 5-Minute Friday, and then the newsletter comes out on Sunday. I'm starting to feel like we might be biting off more than we can chew. What do you think?
Well, again, it's a lot of work, you know, and it seems like it's a little bit more work when there's no revenue associated with it, and you still got to find other ways to pay the bills. But, you know, I think that the quality of the show will carry us through, and opportunities will arise for us in 2020 to maybe change that. And I think our listeners are very supportive, and I think good things are in store for us, Angie.
Yep, we got a lot of stuff coming up just in the first part of 2020. Barb, you're coming down to Nashville, which we're excited about for the Nashville Boat Show. We're actually doing a live podcast from the boat show, and they gave us a really cool time slot. We're at noon on Saturday, so there's going to be a ton of people there, and we're doing it from the big hog trough, which is a big aquarium that's full of bass. They do a lot of seminars. I'm going to be doing seminars for the first time. And so that's going to be interesting. But I'm glad you're going to be there for part of it, and especially for the live podcast.
I'm excited about it, you know, and that's kind of like a whirlwind week. I mean, it's New Year's, and then we're taking off, and we're doing a thing at the NPAA conference in the Wisconsin Dells. We're leading a roundtable discussion on women in the industry. And then from there, we're driving to Red Lake to ice fish. And then we're driving back to fly out to Nashville. So this is all in the matter of, 5 days? That's a pretty... I was thinking about that schedule today, actually, and I was thinking, man, that's a lot, you know?
Yeah, and I'm going to be working the boat show as well as part of my local dealer here. So it's going to be a crazy, crazy time. I'm like, I hope I get some sleep on this Red Lake trip. But maybe then again, I hope I don't, because that means we're not catching fish.
Yeah, you won't be sleeping then, but maybe you can sleep on the ride back or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then we've got what we talked about earlier, the Woman Ice Angler project's coming up. I'm going to try to go to the Bassmaster Classic again this year, which is in Gunnersville. And I was just going through my Team Nashville Bassmasters tournament schedule today, and we're actually fishing Gunnersville, so I'll get a chance to actually fish it this year. I've had to miss the last couple years, so this will be my first time. I know that's kind of a legendary lake for really big bass. And they added my favorite walleye lake here in the area called Lake Normandy, and I'm going to have a really hard time being there fishing for bass. I'm going to be wanting to troll my walleye rig while we're bass fishing.
Well, maybe in a pre-fishing day or something. Maybe you'll get your catch so many walleyes on Red Lake you won't even be thinking about it.
There you go. But yeah, what else is coming up? I know that you always have tons and tons and tons of things throughout the year. It seems like things just pop up out of the blue too as the year goes on.
Yeah, I'm working on, we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I know we're going to go steelhead fishing in last year. That was a really popular episode we did last year, the one on steelhead fishing. And we are going to go back and do that again. I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually reserving a year-round site to be able to put the motorhome in Sheboygan, so hopefully I'll be doing a lot more salmon fishing in 2020.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get you on the boat sometime this summer. We're going to have to make a point to that happen.
Yeah, definitely. And then we talked about ICAST. We're hoping to go back to ICAST again in Orlando. We'll see if all that works out. And then I'm going to that content creators workshop, our recent episode that just came out with Jessica Haydell last week, actually, that she's doing down in Venice, Louisiana at Journey South Outfitter. So hopefully I'll learn a few tips and tricks and kind of kick our videos and photos up a notch for next year.
Well, that's great because you're already experienced, so you can be the one producing the excellent, cinema quality videos, and I'm going to be remaining in the kindergarten video with that 5-Minute Friday where I had that squirrel jumping in when I mentioned squirrels eating trailer wiring. I mean, that was a big editing feat for me.
Hey, it was awesome. So, people really liked it, so keep doing it.
But, we are very fortunate. And again, I want to thank all our supporters. I know there's a lot of women out there that look forward to the podcast every week and are very supportive. In fact, I met a gal at the gas station. She saw the trailer and she came up to talk to me. Well, she's been posting pictures, sending me messages of the fish she's been catching because she was going on a family trip up to Lake of the Woods. And so it's so good to make those connections with our listeners. A lot of the gals we know, but a lot of them don't know. So continue sending those notes and those pictures and interacting with us on our Facebook pages. We have the group page and the regular Woman Angler and Adventure page. And, we love being in those conversations with you people. So, please keep that coming.
Yeah, and also if you have any content you want to submit to us for our newsletter, recipes, tips, even guest blogs we'll put on our website, all that stuff. We love to hear from you, and we need your help to get content. So appreciate anybody who has submitted stuff already, and keep them coming for sure. We'll probably do some more surveys going into next year and just try to figure out what we can do to help, what you guys want to see. I know definitely a lot of feedback we got is people love what we're doing so far with inspirational stories, and we've gotten really good feedback, like Barb said, on the 5-Minute Friday and the newsletter. So any suggestions like that, be on the lookout for those surveys. We need responses so we can give you what the best content that we can give you. I think we're really starting to make an impact. We've been featured in some articles that have come out recently, and it feels good to know that what we're doing is making a difference.
Absolutely. And I know I personally want to wish everybody a Happy New Year and look forward to hearing from you. And Angie, again, thank you so much for everything you do to make this such a success.
Oh, same to you. And I look forward to maybe we'll make this a tradition every year. And I can't wait to look back on 2020 with all the exciting things that are coming.
Well, thank you. And see you on 5 Minute Friday.